Good morning, this is Bhargav Reddy of APAC Assistance Asia Pacific team. Today it's 3rd of May. Today I'll be discussing the current situation on ground and the country risk assessment for Sri Lanka. On Easter Sunday, April the 21st, Sri Lanka suffered its worst terror attack since the end of the civil war in 2009. More than 250 people were killed and 500 others were injured in the suicide bombings at 3 prominent churches and 4 high-profile hotels in Colombo and Batticaloa. 3 days after the attack, the Islamic State claimed responsibility, even as authorities declared that homegrown terrorists, mainly from the National Towheed Jamaat, carried out the Easter Sunday suicide bombings. After a series of arrests resulting from nationwide crackdown on suspect cells in the country, Sri Lankan authorities uncovered the identities of the suicide bombers and some of the arrested suspects and their connection with the IS. Authorities, however, have yet to establish whether indeed the Islamic State had any direct involvement beyond moral support and endorsement in the Easter Sunday carnage. The atmosphere in the country remains tense amid a still ongoing threat. More unexpected exploded bombs are being uncovered at critical facilities during raids at suspected terror hideouts. Last week, security forces swooped down on a suspected terror hideout and a bomb-making factory in the eastern province. The raid turned bloody when the suspects killed at least 15 people by detonating a bomb to avoid arrest. Security forces also recovered large amounts of explosives and other materials used to make suicide vests, along with several radical literature and videos showing the local militants behind an IS flag. So far, more than 130 suspects have already been detained in the nationwide crackdown. Several parallel raids were also conducted by Indian authorities in Kerala and Tamil Nadu in connection with the Easter Sunday bombings. Communal tensions in the country also appeared to rise since the attacks, with the incidence of mob attacks on mosques and refugees noted in Negombo. A state of emergency and night curfew remain in effect in the capital and key regions of the country, especially in the eastern provinces, known to have a majority Muslim population in some of the towns. Meanwhile, several countries, including the US, the UK, Saudi Arabia, and India, have issued travel advisories against visiting the island nation, security lapses, and hotel safety issues. Sri Lankan authorities acknowledged that country's law enforcement agencies intelligence from foreign intelligence agencies on the planned attacks in the country, but failed to take appropriate countermeasures. The confirmation comes amid speculation that country's divisive politics had contributed to the lack of proper communication and coordination between concerned top officials and agents. Safety measures at the country's prominent hotels likewise came into focus after the Easter mayhem. Authorities noted that the security measures at the besieged hotels are inadequate and failed to detect the explosives carried by the militants. Since the 2003 Marriott hotel bombings in Indonesia, the hotels have in fact become one of the preferred targets of Islamic terrorists globally. Hotels have been singled out because these establishments typically host major events and a high number of foreigners, especially Westerners, against whom jihadists have declared war. Security measures at hotels, even 5-star hotels, are also relatively lax, making them ideal as soft terror targets. Assessing the current situation, close to 2 weeks after the Easter blast, the terror threat in Sri Lanka is persistent and ongoing. More bombs are being recovered and going off, and there could still be a number of terrorists who remain at large, possibly armed with more bombs and plotting their next sorties. At present, Sri Lanka is fighting off not only another potential major attack but also the threat of renewed communal tensions. These come amid fresh warnings of more attacks directed not only at Sri Lanka but also at other states in South Asia and Southeast Asia. Prospecting Sri Lanka travelers should not take risks and should avoid non-essential travel to the country until the security situation improves. If presently staying in Sri Lanka, it is best to stay indoors as much as possible, avoid unnecessary exposure near places of worship, tourist hubs, minority communities, and other crowded venues. Beware of security and curfew restrictions and fully cooperate with the security forces manning road checkpoints. Avoid taking pictures of security establishment which could be interpreted as a suspicious behavior by the security forces. If planning to book at hotels, choose establishment with a visibly high level of security precautions. For example, metal and bomb detectors, sniffer dogs, security perimeter fences, emergency exits, uniformed and non-uniformed security marshals. As an alternative, book at hotels less frequented by foreigners and located in less urbanized settings. The Easter incident should likewise serve as a wake-up call to hotel operators. Hotel security managers should review their security postures and update their security protocols and contingency measures. Invest adequately in reinforcing the physical security of your establishment through the purchase of more surveillance and bomb detecting technologies. Contact APAC assistance to engage our professional security specialists who can provide thorough security surveys and site inspections, as well as offer expert security recommendations. Contact APAC assistance at info@apacassistance.com